Hi, I'm Joan Lok. Thank you for coming to my monthly Zoom chat. And this is our July Zoom chat, and we have people continue joining. I was just chatting with some of our participants, and I did a morning glory workshop with the Harrison Library. As a matter of fact, the participant in today's Zoom chat, all of you has participated in this first day's morning glory class as well. And some of you are also students of my online art course, and some of you are students of the art course and also the Zoom workshop. And in the Zoom workshop, because of the duration of time, a lot of times I would kind of simplify things a little bit and also ensure that, when people painting along, I'm not rushing too much because otherwise, because you cannot really rewind and do it again. I kind of simplified the step a little bit and also allow time for people to kind of paint along with me. While in the online courses, the advantage of that is that I always explain the structure of the flower. If it is a flower, if it is not a flower, for example, in the landscape workshop, I would actually break it down into 5 different type of brushwork. And then in each of the brushwork, I would do a demonstration of what is a wash, what is a dot, what is a particular stroke and things like that. So you have kind of like a scientific and systematic sequence of what you need to do in order to come to the end product. And this is actually a skill that I, gained professionally because before I retire, if I say I'm an educator, people thought that I'm a teacher. I'm not a teacher. I'm actually a developer of financial literacy curriculum. And I work on adult education, particularly on financial management. So when you think about it, it's very different teaching adult versus kids. When you teach kids, because a lot of time you're in a academic environment, and in a way the teacher or the teacher's aide does have some power and authority over the kids. They can give them homework. They can make them, do something 5 times, like copy it 5 times, or, finish this page of mathematical problem 5 times and things like that. And they give them assignment, due dates and things like that. But then for adult learning, honestly, most people, when they are adult, they don't like to be treated as kids. As a matter of fact, we have teachers among us, that even kids doesn't like to be treated as kids, right? So in order for adult to learn, we have to, have, in a way, what works better is you have to tell them what they're getting at and why they do that before they actually build it up. So for flower painting, for Sumie, I have to say that I don't have the luxury of learning it from my teachers that way because traditional Asian brush painting are still through apprenticeships, meaning that you find a teacher, you have him as your teacher or mentor, and then in the olden days, you actually live in their house, like kind of become their servant, like make their breakfast and clean their, house in exchange for the skills, right? And in the modern time, we don't need to do that. However, in a way, your teachers also doesn't really have to, teach you certain things, like if they feel like it, they will do this or that. And traditionally, I'm sure that you have been to Sumie workshops with various teachers, whether it is a sequence of classes or a specific workshop on certain subjects. A lot of times for a sequence of classes, sometimes you don't even know what the teacher will teach that day. You show up and then the teacher show up and then you ask him or her, what are you going to teach today? And then she will tell you, oh, we are going to do peonies or we are going to do lotus. Or maybe, like we don't know, but then one of the classmates would say, oh, my orchid in my house room, can we do orchid? Then we'll just, come more like an impromptu and then they'll do that and then we'll learn and then everybody get happy. But in a way, it's not a bad way to learn. But I think that, from my professional training, there are other approaches that may be more effective. And since I become an instructor, I want to make sure that the um, instructions and the step-by-step that I give my students can follow, certain ways that people can learn and learn well. Because I have to say that, probably many years ago, I met another artist who told me she has been a student of a particular really renowned artist for over 10 years. So, because I only get to know this artist, so I thought, she must be very good, right? So then when I saw her work, I'm kind of disappointed. So I'm like, what happened? If she has been a teacher of this so-and-so artist for 10 years, what happened? Then, a few months later, this particular famous artist has a workshop, a week-long workshop. So I, enthusiastically came with this artist friend of mine and attended his workshop for a full week, 5 days workshop. And then I know why my friend has learned 10 years from this guy and did not really paint that well, because he is a great artist, but he's not a good instructor. I mean, and I'm sure that many of you may have that experience as well. Not to take away from the artist is a great artist, but then he may not have the know-how of giving instructions to promote students' learning. And that is also true for some teachers who are good teachers and not necessarily have to be great artists, but if they are good teachers and have good art theory, and of course have to have certain fundamental basics skill set, even they may not be extremely renowned or recognized artists. Think about your high school, your college, or even elementary school, when you met an art teacher that influenced you to be an artist today. A lot of times when you really think back of how the person influenced you, and then if you go back and look at the artwork and things like that, you may be surprised that the person you admire when you were younger may not be as quote unquote great artist that you thought he or she was. However, is a great influencer, and the person is a great teacher and mentor, and it became one of the reasons why you become the great artist today. I knew this story from Don Kingman, who is actually an Chinese American artist, and he is a very famous watercolorist. And he was born in Hong Kong, and so his kind of like his entry to the world of watercolor is actually in Hong Kong, from his teachers. So of course, he loved that, and continued to pursue his watercolor, and then came to America and eventually become an extremely famous watercolorist. And then in his memoir, he once said that years later, after he gained fame and fortune, and then he became a world traveling artist to give workshop around the world and things like that, he somehow went back to Asia and then met his watercolor teacher. And then of course, and then he saw his work, and then he realized, how much better his own work is, over his teacher that is like 30, 40 years ago. But then that story doesn't minimize what that teacher was. But what I mean is, a great teacher doesn't need to be a great artist, but the person inspire, the person know how to teach, of course have to have very fundamental skill set. You cannot be, someone who cannot paint and become a teacher. But what I mean is, it is actually a gift to have someone who can paint well and also can teach well. And with that person have that skill and also have the know-how to teach, it is not a bad thing to consider teaching, because especially in the world of fine art, in the world of sumi, when brushwork is so important, it cannot be replaced by machines. It cannot be replaced by, I know that, if you go to Photoshop, you click a watercolor button, and, they can change the photo to look like a certain style of watercolor. they can click a, you know, impressionist or painting button, and it does look like impressionistic painting. And I'm sure that there are software apps somehow that, you know, they may be able to click a button and change a photo of a rose to become a Sumier rose. You know, I mean, if it haven't happened before, I'm sure that someone is developing it. And, you know, like maybe, you know, after this Zoom call, someone will email me and say, Joan, this is the app to do that, right? Yes, I mean, technology may catch up with us, but then those who know how to practice brushwork would know that it is something that is hard to learn and also hard to teach. But if you have the know-how and know how to teach it, I strongly encourage people to consider teaching, because this is really a lost craft. I mean, I think many of you know that I just retired. This is my second month of retirement. I'm actually taking an early retirement. I theoretically should not be retired yet. Okay, but then, you know, there are multiple factors for that. But one of the things is 15 years ago, when I moved from New Jersey to Maryland, I met a lot of great artists in the Metro DC area. And many of them, when I first met them, I considered them a possible mentor to guide me through my artistic journey when I retire and become a full-time artist. And then guess what? Then time passed, and they expire. If you are active in the Metro DC area, we lost so many great artists in the last 7 years. I see people knocking, you know, like, I don't want to name them because, but then, you know, like if you are active in the Metro DC area, you will know that, you know, there are multiple really great Sumi artists. And I have to say, it's not an accident. I mean, like, they are really elderly, and no one said that people must expire in a certain age. But then when you live to your late 70s, mid 80s, early 90s, I mean, you know, natural forces, you know, like they move on to another life. And so whatever they was unable or didn't have the opportunity to teach their student is lost forever. And then there are also, you know, like great watercolors, great artists that I know of that I look forward to and aspire to become. In the last 5 years as well, many of them has actually retired from active teaching. Not because of any particular reason, because of age, health, and maybe they just have, you know, like more grandkids they want to spend more time with. Maybe may not be themselves, maybe their spouse need more medical attention, and, you know, things like that. It happens, life happens. So if you are a good artist and you know how to teach, consider that. And if you are a good artist but don't know how to teach, find ways to do that better. And if you know how to teach but may not be a good artist, or at least you don't think you are a good artist, there are multiple ways to become a good one. So, you know, try to combine those two skills. Yes. I have like kind of given out my speech. By the way, I don't have any pre-submitted questions for today's Zoom chat. So I don't have any particular things to answer. Do I have anything from the audience that have questions for me that you didn't submit earlier, but, you know, like want to ask that is related to Sumie and things like that? I'll be more than happy to answer that. And unmute yourself. Okay, with not, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk a little bit about the 1-year anniversary, because in the last Zoom chat, I asked about how to celebrate it. And then after that, I did send an email to everyone asking for suggestions, and some of you did respond back. And in the Zoom chat questions, I asked about when we did the Lunar New Year, we did a show and tell. People really like it. As a matter of fact, with you just Google, I mean, go to YouTube and then just type in Joan Lok. All my video, including this one, would be kind of like be found and listed down. And if you look at the number of views, besides the one that is about the art book, which has been in the YouTube for a while, the Lunar New Year one actually has the largest viewership. And I think the reason is, first of all, we have more artists participating. Another one is, like maybe, like people just like to see each other's art. So therefore, we actually have more viewing on that one. And then I think a lot of you actually appreciate that and like it. So so we did say that we'll do it again. So I have positive feedback. So I think the 1 year anniversary, we'll do it again. We'll do it kind of like a, just like a show and tell. You can bring one painting that you want to talk about. And ideally, it would be something inspired by the workshop or the art course. For example, you took the grape workshop or you took the Amarias workshop and then you painted this Amarias. Doesn't have to be from the demo, but then if it's inspired you to do that, that would be ideal. But in case if you have a painting that you created that may not be inspired by it, but then you just want to share it because it's just cool to share, I think that should be acceptable. So we'll do that. So it's a show and tell. And then another one is, at one point I was also asking, besides that, would you like it to be on the website? And I only have a few people that say yes, and most people are silent. So I'm not 100% sure if this is something that people want to do. But then, if you have strong feelings for or against it, email me after this so we can, gauge it again, because it does take effort to build it. And honestly, I don't want to build it and only have maybe like 2 or 3 students with their artwork, because we want to have kind of like a whole group of people. And if there's only 2 or 3, it may not be worthwhile on the effort to build like a student gallery in within my website. All right. So let me know, because we can always do that later. And then another one is we also talk about because we can always make it like kind of like a competition or kind of award, things like that. And I also have mixed feedback. There are people who love it, but then there are people who are kind of like, oh, I don't do well in competition. I actually feel the pressure. I don't want that. So I think, at least for this year, we could probably skip it, because we want to make sure we have enough people that have the comfort level before we can do that. Yeah. So we would not be competing. The website one, and as of now is a no, unless people have a strong feeling to want it. Okay. And then and one more thing that I did is you probably know that I occasionally give out a $5 off coupon to kind of like promote people to sign up for the workshop on the courses. So what I did is I thought of, like giving another $5 off coupon for the anniversary. But then I also find out that, because I cannot change the way the checkout is in the system. So I cannot change the sequence of the checkout page because it's already built in for me. There's no automatic coupon code space. You have to click on something that say has a coupon question mark, and if you click on it and put on the coupon code, then it will go. But then sometimes when people sign up or when they click on the buy, because they bought before, the system already remembered their credit card. So the things become very quick. And if you just push yes, it just kind of skip the coupon. So one way or the other, I cannot change that sequence. So in order for people not to lose that sequence, and so what I did is I actually reduced the price of one of my workshop by 50%. So it's Amarias, it's this one, okay? Is the Amarias, and I reduce it from $30 to $15 from now effective until the end of September. So we have 2.5 months, almost 7, 8, 9. Yeah, we have actually 3 months, 3 full months of it reduced. So so of course, like by October 1st, it'll go back to the regular price. But in a way, it's my way of thanking people who have joined, so you can get something 50% off. Or with there are people who never joined my online courses before, and want to have a feel of what it is. And as I say, before the anniversary, the course exists anyway. The course has been published, for a few months already. So I think that might be a good idea for people who have never tried it to try it. Yeah. So that's what I did. And if you have any comment and things like that, let me know. And
Can't hear you.
Pardon? I think Judy is trying to say something. Or it was just some background noises. Okay. But any questions, any comments on the anniversary, or is there anything else we should do? Because one more thing that I'm thinking, which is actually learned from my local art club, is that besides the what I call it, besides the show and tell that we show off our artwork, one of the suggestion is we'll just have a social hours, like a happy hour. And then I have to say that I will not record it. So if you miss it, you are not going to watch it on YouTube. But basically, we will just, each person will, like, if you bring out your champagne, your red wine, your soda, or your iced tea, and your hors d'oeuvre and things like that. And we'll just sit down and chit chat. And we do not have to talk about art. You can talk about, hey, how is your painting your house? Like not painting a painting, things like that. I think it may be cool, because I have to say that one of the things that I miss in the online workshop is actually the lunch break that I have with my students, that we may or may not be talking about art, but we are just sharing lunch together, and just talk about little things, things like that. So I think that may be something cool. And you may not want to do it all the time, but maybe the first anniversary would be kind of like a little party, like reception party or whatever. But of course, reception is you have to bring your own champagne. Yes. So Judy, you want to say something?
Okay. Yes, I like that idea of the happy hour. I've done it before in different groups, but the reason why I wanted to, that I raised my hand, was because I wanted to let you know about, do you know Tom Chow?
No.
Oh, okay. There's a group, American Artists of Chinese Brush Painting, and it's kind of in the San Diego area. And they just came out with this catalog, and it's beautiful.
Oh, okay.
I'm a beginner, and so I'm in it. I'm the first one because of my name, Aoki. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of dedicated to Tom Chow, and he had just passed away, but he's the one that wanted to put together this catalog. Mm-hmm. But anyways, this is my page. It's a little hard to do. It's I'm not on the computer, I'm on the phone.
Oh, okay.
But they did a picture of the artist, and then they did
wow, it's beautiful.
Like one or two.
Funny.
Oh, thank you. This was a class at the senior center. It was for Easter. Mm-hmm. And she did the bunny. And then this flower is from your class. But
oh, thank you. Yeah, that's pretty beautiful. Yeah.
But the bunny.
Speaking of catalog, is actually very popular. It's a very popular
really?
topic for Asian artists to do, because I'm active in the Lingnan Art Association of America, and also in the Chinese American artists, and like a whole a good number of art communities, and like some of them will do a catalog in every single show. Some of them will do the show when they have kind of like an anniversary, such as the 5th anniversary, 10th anniversary, 30th anniversary, something like that. And I can show you, multiple catalog. As a matter of fact, let me just bring a few.
Maybe you could do one for like your 2nd anniversary.
See, this is something that is very usual. And this one is the Ningnan Art Association of America 30th anniversary. And then, how they fund it is that they have all these artists belonging to this club. And then they would go to the publisher and do an estimate of, for example, the whatever number of pages, whatever size, like full color, what kind of quality of paper and things like that. And the publisher would do them an estimate and say, to make 1,000 copy of this or to make 500 copy of this will cost X dollar. And then once we have the number, then we know how many members do we have and also how many would be interested. Then we will do a calculation and say each person can have up to 2 paintings, and that would be 2 page, or what have you. And then we'll divide the cost. And let me find me. And I think in this particular one, everybody get 2 pages. And so these 2 are mine. They're actually full size roll. Okay. And so it will go, and then they will say, it will be X dollar, for example, like $500 or $250 or what have you. And then we'll put all the money together, and then and then after that, then each artist who contributed that have 2 pages would get, say, for example, 8 copies or 15 copies and things like that. And then we can give it to our friends. As I say, because I participate in this, and it's not only for the publication, because I have no use for this. But then you have to support it because, if we only have 4 people raise their hand, then each person will have to put up $1,000. That would be not affordable. So in order to minimize the cost to be within a few $100s, we need a lot of people. And so I have a lot of these kind of catalogs. So
this one though, there was someone in our club that was able to print it. And so everyone who is a member of the club got a copy for free.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as I say, these as I say, is professionally produced, and because of the quality, you really don't want a black and white one. You want a full color one.
Yes.
And also because of the size and because of the quality of paper, they are not cheap. As a matter of fact, before I retire, I was actually thinking, when I retire, I'll do that. But then now I am not 100% sure. You are aware that I have the book that called Chinese Brush Painting Flowers, right? This book that has instruction of how to paint, like 40 different flowers. So after I finish this book, I have the idea of making a book on this, how to paint birds, right? And then I have actually started writing it in this same format, meaning that I have a sample artwork and I have the steps, right? And I went to the publisher, and after negotiation and things like that, it's the no-go. They believe that the market for flower is a lot bigger than the one for birds. They do not think that the distribution would be sustainable. So
I like your idea of the YouTube classes, or even your online classes, because you can go back to it when you're busy. You can go back to it and finish, or if you don't have a lot of time at one sitting, you can do many, and you can go back to it and do it again. So I like that better than the books.
Yes. So I have actually started writing the book, and since the publisher is not going to publish it, and I have to say that it's the cost of a car to get it printed, because you don't print 5, you don't print 10, and it's full color. So because I'm sure that many of you has already collected this. I have this one, which is self-published, full color. It costs a car, the cost of a new car. All right. So I was, and at that time I was thinking, like when I retire, I will actually use crowdfunding to see who is interested, and whoever submitted and supported it, then with crowdfunding, I can fund this. However, the market has changed. Just like what Judy has just said, hard copy books may or may not be something that people want to own anymore. And besides, the writing of this book took a year, which is already very fast. I was working every night, editing, like organizing everything, like it's a year of hard work, right? So one way or the other, like this is something that may or may not become a reality, or maybe technology would be able to find a way that is sustainable. See, I talk about sustainability a lot of times because I heard the other day that someone said that, all the best things in life are free. Yes, air is free, everything is free. But the thing is, your internet connection is not free. The PC that you are, like viewing each other on the iPad or the iPhone is not free. The hosting fee for the website is not free. And as a matter of fact, one thing that is kind of newer, which is, I'm still trying to accept it, is I like to buy things, and when I bought it, it's mine. But now, especially on technology, you cannot really buy a Microsoft program anymore. You have to subscribe to it. So every year or every month, they charge you. I mean, you cannot buy it off the shelf anymore and say I own it. But of course, because they are updates that they want, and they can say that, I can continue to give you the update. But the reality is you cannot really own something, and this is $300 I'm willing to pay, and it's mine. You have to pay $30 a month through the end of time. Because the day that you stop paying the $30, you lost that ownership and all the storage, all the information with it. So that is the dilemma I'm facing. And I think I'm not alone, but a lot of instructors who are doing online thing are facing. For example, Zoom, you cannot just buy it. It's a subscription. It's just like your internet. It's a subscription. You have to pay every month. And the price would not go down. And, like those are the things. I'm not saying I'm poor, but what I mean is the sustainability is an issue. And, in as much that we would like to offer workshops and instructions and everything and put it on YouTube or a library and have everyone to view it for free. There's a mortgage payment, there's a car payment, there are art supplies that we need to buy and things like that. So I'm sure that, people who are professional or even semi-professional that somehow have an income through artwork would understand the issue of sustainability. Yeah. So anyway, I want to know, is there any questions? Because I have, before you know it, I have babbled over my 30 minutes.
I'll just make a comment on what you started about how you teach a painting or teach painting and with the anatomy or structure of the flower, the bird, the animal, the whatever. I went to Chunky Cheese workshop at the National many years ago in Virginia. And that was one thing he stressed about painting. Don't be painting a chicken. In fact, I think that's what we painted, unless you know the structure of the chicken. Well, of course, then he kind of chided some of us that we should go study the anatomy of, the chicken or whatever we're painting. So that thought comes to me quite often when I, paint for watercolor or paint for Sumier and whatever. And I was telling Joan before when I watched her demo,
Glory.
yeah, that my Morning Glory came out like flat. It's like, oh my goodness, instead of a nice round shape. But anyway, it's called practice, practice, practice.
Yeah. I think everybody know that I will have a bird workshop next Saturday. I think next Saturday, 2 Saturday actually. I could easily, do a bird and make it a 1-day workshop, but I make it a 2-day workshop because I want you to be able to paint a bird at the end of the 2-day workshop, right? Because there are so many artists that come to me and said that I have learned through some other artists to paint a bird. I still don't know how to do it. It's just like my artist friend who has been a student of that famous artist for 10 years and still knows just so, when it comes to her artwork. The reason is, like maybe, when she learned it, it was not taught in a way that she truly understand. And in the bird workshop, like if you haven't sign up now. But what we want to do is to do a bird that is not a fine a gombi, not a refined line one. It's something that is with calligraphic stroke. Okay, calligraphic stroke. Okay, but how are we going to do that? If I just go in and say, okay, this is the first stroke, this is the second stroke. Yeah, you can still mimic and copy. But what I did is, this is one of the things that the student will talk about. And you see here, this is what we'll do. But then I will actually explain all this, explain how you look at things, and explain the parts before I go to this, right? Because it's important. And why do I make it into 2 classes? Because I need to have time to explain this, but yet I know that there are students who would be like, stop talking, paint. So I want to make sure I have the opportunities to actually explain what I'm doing. And on the second day, because we cannot do all the lecture on one day and then paint on the second day, people want to paint as well. So you paint some on the first day. And on the second day, we'll go into not the body, but the first day we'll go to the body and the head. But the second day we'll focus on the wing and the tail and also the leg. I have to say that all the Sumier class I go to and all the nice teachers that I learn from never explain the bone structure of a claw of a bird. I learn it because I want to know. And I do think that, when you are in the class on the second day, then I will probably have a raise of hand as to how many people, learn it the first time, because, the number of bones per claw is different. It's not the same, okay? And it makes a difference of how it looks when it's holding on to a branch, right? So little things like that, although when we paint, we may not be paying that much attention to it, but then I think it's a good idea to know, because depending on how much time I have, because as I say, the bird can actually be a book, but I have to do everything in 2 days. I will squeeze a lot of information into it, but because I squeeze so much into it, there are things that I have to eliminate because I just cannot cover them. If I cover all of them, instead of being helpful, I would just overwhelm the student. But a lot of times you see someone who draw a very good bird. Everything is perfect. The wings, the head, everything is perfect. But then when it comes to the leg, it almost looks like it cannot stand firmly on the branch, right? It's kind of like, it doesn't look like it can stand firmly on the branch. Or maybe, I don't know. I think it would topple, because it looked very top heavy and things like that. So we will talk a little bit about that when we are talking about the claw and the legs as well. So without any additional questions, I'll probably end the chat. Anybody have any questions for me, before I stop this? If not, I will, post this in YouTube, and I have already talked about the anniversary. So I will send actually, I think I already did, but I will send the information to you about the 50% off on the Amerias, because there's no coupon needed. And so you do not have to worry about, not being able to click that 50% off, because I believe it's just easier. So I just reduced the price to $15 for the entire month of July, August, and September. And at the end of September, it will go back to the normal price. And why Amerias? Because Amerias, if you remember the flower, when it, first of all, when you get it from a pot, it will grow out and you see the leaves. And then after that, you will see the flower come out. And when the flower bloom, is always on the top of the plant. And the flower usually is red or reddish. So in the Chinese belief, Amerias is a representation of the top scholar. Kind of like, the Chinese has the scholar exam that you become the top scholar, Zhong Yun, right? And the top scholar, red on the top. So Ameria has that symbolization of being on the top. So it is a sign of career promotion, academic achievement, and success. So for anniversary, might as well, find a flower of success. As a matter of fact, I did a Ameria's demo for my colleague at work to celebrate the Lunar New Year this year. And then I told them that it's for career promotion. And then 1 week later, one of my colleagues who work in a different division emailed me and said, "Joan, I got a promotion." And she said, "Your flower works." And I said, "Yay." She really got a promotion. So I'm like, I'm so happy. And I said that I don't think it's that magical, but I'll take that. I will take that. My flower actually brought you good luck to get the promotion. So remember that. I will send you the information as a reminder, and hope to see you in next week's workshops, and also the following week, the 17th and the 24th. And let me know about the availability in August, because I may skip the August Zoom chat because I may have some traveling. All right. Thank you. So bye-bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.